So you literally create more chemical energy when the brain is burning a ketone than it does burning glucose. So yes, it is at least as efficient, if not more efficient. And we always say, and I even say this, you just did, we say that ketones are an alternate fuel, but the reality might be that it's the primary fuel. And case in point, if we start to increase the ketones in the blood of a person, even though the ketones are much lower than the glucose is, maybe it's only a quarter as much in the blood, even still, the brain immediately starts relying on ketones. And as ketones go higher and higher and higher, the brain continues to rely on the ketones more and more as its fuel, where we actually were able to get tissue from human cadavers, from tissue donors, and study the difference in gene expression between those genes that are involved in glucose burning versus ketone burning in people who had died with Alzheimer's disease and with no Alzheimer's disease. And it was the glucose burning genes that were compromised, not the ketone burning genes. And that is so powerful, because if a person has an energetic gap, well, then let the brain eat ketones, and ketones can more than fill that energetic gap and indeed improve cognitive performance. Yes, we can supplement ketones, and I can state that authoritatively because there are, in fact, human studies that have been published that prove this, where you take people with Alzheimer's disease, you give them cognitive tests, you give them a ketone supplement to dramatically increase their ketone levels in their blood, you have them conduct those or perform those same cognitive tests, and they perform better. So the evidence is quite strong. Now, you have to take the first step, which is that it's ketone making. And of course, as ketones go up in the blood, cells, virtually every cell in the body will start to use the ketones for energy. So that part is very much true, but it all boils down to insulin. And that kind of allows me to address the other part of your question, where are exogenous or supplemental ketones the same as making your own ketones? The ketone is the same. That molecule is the same, but so much of the benefit of a ketogenic diet isn't necessarily the ketones, although in this context, they're very relevant because it's providing the brain with the fuel. But the primary benefit is lowering the insulin and improving insulin sensitivity. Because remember, at the root of the neurological fall is that the brain starts to become insulin resistant. And so the power of a ketogenic diet, not that I ever intend to advocate it in all sincerity, but I would say Alzheimer's disease is probably one of the situations that would benefit the most from a ketogenic diet, from an explicitly ketogenic diet, one that is keeping the insulin so low due to very low carbohydrate consumption and fasting, that you're not only improving insulin sensitivity in the body, including in the brain, allowing it to use glucose better, but you're also making ketones, which simply, just to demystify ketones in a few words, ketones are simply products of fat burning. When the body is burning fat at a very high rate, which it does when insulin is low, it's essentially burning more fat than it needs to use for energy, and it starts turning some of that burning fat into ketones. And then ketones are a viable fuel in their own right, especially for the brain. So 1-to-1, a ketogenic diet, not that I mean to advocate it, but I will certainly defend it, will have a greater metabolic benefit, even to the brain, than just supplemental or exogenous ketones, as beneficial as they are. And to your point, for people who are unwilling or unable for whatever reason to adopt a ketogenic diet, which admittedly could be difficult in someone with Alzheimer's disease, right? They may be very obstinate and difficult and just refuse to do this. Well, then knowing that you can rely on an exogenous ketone, despite the considerable expense associated with them, is nevertheless a bit of an encouraging note.
Annotated and summarized, easy to share with loved ones. The description below the title for this video has these summary points.
From the website doctorstotrust.com, you can view the summary notes and share or print the PDF of those notes.